Welcome back to Draft to Glory. I am Laptop Hound bringing you all the Montreal Expo goodness. Yes, this is our Draft to Glory series where I have to win a championship with the Montreal Expos, who are back in the early 1900s, and all we get to do is build the team through the draft. Yes, no trades, no free agent signings, no international signings, waiver pickups. No, we can't do that. Only through the draft. If you haven't checked out the first 5 or 6 episodes, go back and kind of see how this team originated. Right now, we are in 1906. We started back in 1901. We haven't won a championship yet, haven't made the playoffs yet, because we started by drafting in the inaugural draft the worst possible players. And ever since then, we've tried to be competitive with our draft picks. Here is the current setup, the current roster, 25 men on the roster to start 1906. We still have Ted the Senator Kennedy. Yeah, he is still, you know what? I'm going to go in and I'm going to give him the nickname Senator, because that's what I keep calling him. There we go. Ted the Senator Kennedy is one of our 2 starting pitchers. Remember, this is Deadball Era, so we don't need a 5-man rotation. 2 men will be fine. And Fritz Peterson is our number 2 guy. These guys have been the 2 main starters on the team pretty much right from the beginning. You can see you can see the players that we drafted in the serious drafts, everything after the inaugural draft, players that we drafted that we felt were the best for the team, the best in the draft to try and make our team better. So Roy Halladay, George Merritt, Danny Darwin, Ken Penner, and Rob Woodward. And a couple of these guys are making their rookie debut. Last year, we had Ken Penner, who came in, pitched great in his limited appearances. Again, these guys don't get a lot of innings because of the dead ball era. And Ken Penner, went 3-0 with a 1.45 ERA. And Rob Woodward, welcome to the big leagues. You are in the show. You are going to make your major league debut with the Montreal Expos. Rob Woodward drafted in the 4th round in the 1904 draft. So a player that we picked that we felt could help the team, and now he's going to make his major league debut. Danny Darwin, again, a guy that's been on the team. This is his 2nd year now, went 3-3 with a 2.20 ERA. We have a lot of hope for Danny Darwin. Hopefully he can gain some stamina. That would be nice, so that we can move him into the starting rotation. Only need probably about 50 stamina. And of course, we have Roy Halladay, who we had a lot of hope for. Roy Halladay was our first round pick, number 4 overall in the 1902 draft. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. He is on the verge of being declared a bust. But again, maybe in the dead ball era, he can manage some sort of career. Control still has some movement that he can do. Again, he's done well, but not number 1 pick overall. Well, so we still have hope for Roy, who's in the bullpen as of right now. Hitters, you can see again, all the serious drafted players here from 1901 all the way through 1903. We don't have a lot of new rookies coming in from the last draft. They're going to season a little bit in the minors. So we are not bringing up Paul Molitor yet. We are not bringing up Dwight Smith. And in the Double A, we've got Joe Garagiola, FP Santangelo, Cal Rayleigh. Not going to bring those guys up yet. Doesn't look like they're ready to be promoted to Triple A or to the big leagues. Again, we have a pretty full roster, so even if I wanted to bring up Dwight Smith, there's not really a lot of room for him because we've got Akil, we've got Cal Daniels, Bo Jackson, Pat Mullen, and making his debut with Montreal will be Dom D'Alessandro. He gets the next shot. Again, getting on there in age 25 years old and has done, okay in the minor leagues, but he wanted to come up to the show. So we're going to give him a shot this year. All right, let's go ahead to the end of the first month. I'm hoping 500 season or better for the Expos. Let's do it. Here we are, end of April. Let's take a look at the top 100 prospect list. Forgot to show this at the beginning of the season. So we do have Paul Molitor projected to be the number 9 prospect pick. He was our first round pick in the last draft. We chose him 6th overall, and I'm excited about him coming in. We do need some depth on the infield, and it looks like he's almost finished progressing. 20-year-old getting his AAA seasoning. Other than that, no one else on the list here. Jose Abreu, still a prospect, 26 years old. Looks like he is playing for Cincinnati this year. Yes, so his first season in Cincinnati as a 26-year-old. Rich Harden, the number 1 prospect, getting his start in Pittsburgh, 2-3 after the first month of the season. Okay, player development update. We got a lot of players moving up and down. Paul Molitor, again, probably one of our key prospects to keep an eye on, going up to a 4.5-star rating. Improved his contact, improved his power. And Dwight Smith, up in some areas, down in others, but up to a 3-star rating. So it's good. We're leaving him in AAA. I don't want to rush him because this game, if you rush players, not good. They can quickly lose some of their value. Ted Kennedy. Look at Ted, still growing, 4 stars now, potential for a 5-star player. This is a guy that we took in the inaugural draft as, I think, a 1.5-star, maybe a 2-star player. And he is on the pace for a Hall of Fame career. Ted, the Senator Kennedy. All right, where are the Expos? Look at that, we're number 1. We are number 1 after the first month, 1 game ahead of the Giants, 12-6. And looking at some of the leaderboard here, runs batted in, Bo Jackson. We've got also our catcher, Mark Stewart. Joe Sewell, our first ever serious draft pick back in 2001. I believe, was it 2001 or 2002? 2001, drafted 2nd overall. On the pitching side, Ted Kennedy, most strikeouts, wins, Peterson, Kennedy. We probably have the only 2-man rotation going. And war-wise, Ted Kennedy. So Kennedy, Sewell, Bo Jackson, Mark Stewart having a great start to the season. Okay, let's keep it up. Let's stay in first place. Let's go to the end of May. June 1st update. And I like to do these monthly updates to, show off the players and want them to become a little bit more personal for those of you that are watching. And thank you so much for those of you that, are leaving likes and leaving comments. Really kind of inspires me to keep on going and putting content on YouTube because I've mainly become a Twitch streamer for my OOTP content. But I want to, keep doing some things for YouTube. So hopefully you'll keep those comments and likes coming. And let's take a look. Danny Darwin has moved up to, this is what I was hoping for. Danny Darwin, his stamina stayed the same, but he's improved his ratings. He is now 3.5-star potential. Phil Plantier dropped a little bit. That's disappointing. Bob Hale has dropped. And Edgar Clemente, AAA player, has dropped. Probably not going to see any time in the big leagues, but still, you never like to see your players drop in value. D. Walsh, on the other hand, 28 years old, and he's still improving. I has gone up. Defensive rating at third base has gone up. And finally, Roy Halladay improved his control, improved his velocity, and gone up to a 3.5 star. This kid has been on a roller coaster in terms of his development. So things are on the uptick for Roy Halladay. Excellent. Where are we in the standings? Well, we've dropped from where we were in May. We are now 22-23, 5 games back. And look at that. We're on a 1-9 last 10 game record. Oh no, time to maybe switch the lineup up a little bit. And sometimes all it takes is moving one or two people up or down in the lineup. So let's do that. Let's move these guys up and down a little bit. Sometimes the chemistry changes when you do this. And that's all I'm going to do. We're not going to switch anyone out because I do want my serious drafted players to be in the lineup more than those that are not. We still need a really high-end catcher. So hopefully Joe Garagiola can be that guy in the near future. Pitching-wise, Ted Kennedy 10-12, Fritz Peterson 8-9. Our bullpen doing really well. No one is above a 2.0 ERA. Again, Ken Penner looks to be the guy that the AI is going to. 41 innings, and Roy Halladay getting some work. And yeah, he's doing really well. All right, let's look at the overall leaders here. We'll look at the combined league. Bo Jackson, our Bo Jackson, is number 3 in the entire league in batting average. Also on the leaderboard for OPS, on the leaderboard for on-base percentage. Cal Daniels, second most runs in the league. You love to see it. And also Bo Jackson and Cal Daniels in some of these other hitting categories. So Bo and Cal. Pitching, again, a little bit skewed because we have a 2-man rotation. So that's going to, we're going to have the most wins and we're going to have the most losses. But in some of the other categories, Danny Darwin, 3 saves, 1 behind the league leader. War-wise, Peterson, Kennedy. All right. Okay, let's sim ahead, and hopefully the Expos can get above 500. Let's go to July. Once again, happy Canada Day. It is July 1st, 1906. Pat Mullen decreased a little bit in terms of his speed, but his eye went up, and you'll see that often in OOTP. If you've played this game, you'll notice that as players get older, certain attributes drop. Obviously, things like speed drops when they get older, but other things will improve often. Ken Penner, stuff has dropped, and potential rating has dropped. So 20-year-old Ken Penner, not doing as well. Maybe we shouldn't have rushed him. Maybe he should go back down to AAA. Gene Wright has made a little bit of improvement. So I am going to drop Ken Penner down simply because I don't like that he's dropped in his overall. Maybe he can get a little bit more time in AAA and bring that rating up a little bit. Montreal Expos, our standings right now, we have stayed the same. 1 game below 500. Bo Jackson, 3rd in RBIs. Cal Daniels, 3rd in home runs. And our pitching still doing well. Nice to see, though, that Montreal Expos logo, which I still think is one of the best ever in baseball, 281 runs scored, leading the league in most runs scored. All right, let's jump ahead to the beginning of August. August 1st update, again, looking at the potential, the development report. Some of our lower level players, doing a little bit better. Roy Flaskamper improving a little bit. I'm more concerned about the guys in the majors right now or close to it. Dwight Smith has dropped in his left field defensive ratings. His power has dropped. George Merritt, again, has dropped to a 2-star player. Kyle Wayland, who was kind of our ace in the bullpen, our key guy for saves over the last couple seasons, he has dropped. Age 30, though. That's probably expected. And again, we can click on our player development report and get a full look at the pluses in green, the negatives in red. So feel free to pause it if you want to look at some of these developments a little bit closer. And yeah, a cool feature of OOTP that updates players every once in a while. Looking at our top prospect update, the Montreal Expos now have the number 2 prospect. Of course, some of these players have come off the list because they've made the jump to the major leagues, but Paul Molitor is the number 2 overall prospect, and he's having a great rookie season in AAA, hitting .363, 6.3 WAR. Yeah, he wants to come up to the pros, but we're going to be patient. He's almost a fully developed 5-star player. He's got a little bit more to develop with power and with eye and discipline. So hopefully he can get that in AAA and we'll bring him up next year. Standings wise, it's one of those seasons. We have dropped to way below 500. So disappointing that we're 10 games below 500, 8 games below 500. Just another one of those development seasons. And unfortunately, by the time we do become competitive, a lot of the names on the team will probably be either retired or close to it. Al Shires, though, coming out of nowhere. Al Shires, our second baseman. Well, I call him our second baseman, but fielding stats. Look at that negative WAR. We had to convert him to a second baseman because we were full. We were full at first base. And I wanted his offense, and I'm glad I did because he is second in RBIs. Cal Daniels tied for the league lead in home runs. Again, for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, he was the number 2 overall pick in 1903. So our number 1 overall picks, or our first round picks, have been productive. Cal Daniels, Joe Sewell, looks like Paul Molitor is going to be a keeper. Pitching, Roy Halladay, he's kind of still he's on the bubble. Maybe we'll put him into the pitching rotation higher up next season, but he's only got a 35 stamina. And I don't know how that's going to translate in the Deadball Era. Maybe we can get a complete game out of him, but I want to see that go up to at least a 40, maybe a 50. All right, let's jump ahead to the beginning of September. Come on, Expos, time to make a move. September 1st, and the leaves are starting to fall in Western Canada. All right, update. Again, few players slightly moving up or slightly moving down, including Danny Darwin. We did have an award pitcher of August. There we go. So I moved Ken Penner down, and he went 5-0. So here's a case where maybe some of your rookies, some of your young guys need the innings. They need the time. Move them down to the minor leagues. Let him have success. He's 8-1 in the minor leagues. Hopefully we will see his ratings go up a little bit. Time will tell. We'll have to check the next development report to see if he's in it. But I'm kind of glad I did move him back down to the minors. We are not going to make the playoffs. We are still more than 10 games back. We are 10 games below 500. So we do have some success stories. Art Shires, what a season. 294. Amongst the league leaders in RBIs. Cal Daniels, really good player. Still developing a little bit, now a 5-star overall at the age of 24. What's his defense like? Yeah, he's fine out in left field. So great season for him, great season for Shires. And in the pitching department, Kennedy, Peterson still putting up the numbers, and Danny Darwin third in saves. Well, one more month to go. Let's finish off September and October and go to the playoffs. Find out where Montreal ends up. At the end of the regular season, let's go through our mailbox here. Dad Clarkson, who was in AAA, has decided to retire. So Dad Clarkson, who did have a cup of coffee in the major leagues back in 1901 in our very first season, and then had to be pushed down because we just had so many better players. Didn't have any wins, no saves. Yeah, just a very short career in Montreal. And again, he was part of that inaugural draft, round 16, where we were drafting some of the lower level players. So Dad Clarkson, unfortunately, you are off to retirement. Player development update, Pat Mullen has improved, gone up to a 65 in I and a 4-star potential. So again, these players jumping up and down in terms of 3, 3.5, 4, back to 3.5, back to a 4. Pat Mullen on the upswing. Regular season is over. The playoffs are about to begin. Let's take a look at the final league standings as we look forward to a Detroit-Chicago final. So Philadelphia not in the finals this year after back-to-back championship. And Montreal, well, the good news is we're last in the league, so we get a good draft pick. We're going to be in the top 4 for this year's draft. It was a close battle between New York, Philadelphia, and Cincinnati. Those will be your lottery picks. I don't know how to feel about this. I want improvement. I'm ready. Expos, I want to see you make a big push. You teased me a little bit a couple seasons ago where we almost made the World Series, and now we're back down to one of the worst teams in the league. So Montreal finishing 67 and 87. I'm afraid to look what my score is going to be as manager. Yeesh. In terms of, some of the highs and lows of our team, we got to celebrate, right? We got to celebrate the good things. Player-wise, let's see if we can shout someone out. Cal Daniels, 5th in the league in runs, but not a lot of Expos here, unfortunately. Our hitters were not amongst the best. Pitching again, hard to tell because we had a 2-man rotation, but Danny Darwin, going to give you some props because you did have 6 saves, 2nd in the league. 28 wins for both Peterson and the Senator to lead the way. And WAR, which, is an important category. Peterson and Ted Kennedy, top 2 in WAR. Streaks, did we have anyone that we can celebrate a hot streak? RBI streak for Joe Ward, he had 9. That was the best RBI streak. Danny Darwin, currently on a 12-game save streak, so that's going to carry over into next season. Also a 10-game shutdown streak. Kennedy with a 9-game losing streak. Come on, Senator, you're better than that. All right, there are some of the streaks from 1906. Playoff time, Detroit, Chicago. Let's take a quick look at both teams. Detroit 82 and 72, led by Mike Sweeney and Kyle Tucker. And they're going to face off against Chicago Cubs, led by Ned Williamson, Rafael Devers, and Felix Hernandez. 19-year-old Felix Hernandez, who went number 2 overall in the draft a couple seasons ago. We didn't have a shot at Felix. We drafted lower that year. So Detroit, Chicago, I'm going to call Chicago in 5 games. That's my prediction. Let's find out who wins this. What a World Series it was. Chicago did win 4-3. And let's take a quick peek at that Game 7. How close was it? Game 7 was 4-1 for the Chicago Cubs, and King Felix went 3-0 in the playoffs. Yeah, he is going to be a long-time perennial Cy Young candidate for the Chicago Cubs. So great pick by them, 2nd overall in his draft class. So Chicago joins the list, joins the league history of champions. Philadelphia has won twice, the Giants, the Pirates, the Cardinals, and now the Chicago Cubs. Let's advance ahead and see if we can get some award winners here. Can the Expos? I don't think so. No one really jumps out as a possible award winner. Maybe one of our pitchers finally get the Cy Young, but I doubt it. Let's see. In the AL, John Ward with his 2nd MVP award. He is 27 years old for the Chicago White Sox. Finished with a 25-14 record. Somehow, he doesn't win the Cy Young Award, though. Wins the MVP, but the Cy Young Award goes to 26-game winner, 1.69 ERA, Al Hollinsworth. So, John Ward, are you a two-way player? You are. Did you win it based on your batting? Maybe. 280 average, 20 doubles, 31 RBIs. So probably combination of pitching and batting got him the MVP. And Bo Bichette from the Chicago White Sox, who was the 14th overall pick in the 1905 draft, so last season's draft, is your Rookie of the Year. And no reliever of the year because they aren't utilized too much. Taking a look at the NL winners. For the first time in league history, Pete Browning is not the winner. So the Pete Browning Award winner, because remember, we changed that last season. It is now called the Pete Browning Award. A guy wins it 5 times in a row. He deserves it. Charlie Ferguson with a 280 average. Or no, this is a pitcher again. We're getting some pitchers that are winning this. Some two-way players, 292 on batting average. Congratulations, Charlie. Charlie was drafted with the number 2 pick in the inaugural draft, so he's an oldie but a goodie, 29 years old. Cy Young winner, King Felix, world champion. He went 22-14 with a 173 average. And your Rookie of the Year goes to Chicago Cubs, Ned Williamson. Ned Williamson was chosen 12th overall in the 1905 draft, so last year, 12th overall pick, 264 average, but look at those stolen bases, 83 stolen bases. Caught 61 times, so he attempted 144 stolen bases. Ned, you got to be tired. Enjoy your summer off. You are a World Series champion. You're a Rookie of the Year. And you and your Chicago Cubs have a lot to celebrate. Wow. So Expos are shut out of awards. Didn't really have a player that stood out this year. Cal Daniels, though, did lead the league in home runs. And Al Shires, 3rd in RBIs. So I guess if I have to name someone as our Player of the Year, I'm going to go with Cal Daniels, or do I go with Al Shires? Let's Al Shires. Al Shires, you are the Expo of the Year, even though you're not a great second baseman. Time to move ahead to the draft. Let's find out who wins the draft lottery and who is available for the Montreal Expos. Our draft date always on December 15th. Hall of Fame, no one eligible yet for the Hall of Fame. That should be an option fairly quickly as more players start to retire. The draft lottery. Here we go. Montreal finishing last in the league. Will they keep the first overall pick? Will this be the Expos' first ever first overall choice? Here are the results. Oh, no. We drop to number 4. We lose the lottery majorly. Philadelphia moves up a slot. New York moves up twice. Cincinnati keeps their position. And Montreal picks number 4. Well, I don't mind. I mean, we were all within a couple games of each other. And I like this draft lottery because it avoids tanking. Not that I'm tanking, it's the AI doing a lot of things. Now, hopefully, we get at least 4 players that are all-star potential in the league. Let's go to the mock draft first of all. Find out what names are in this year's draft. Jose Vidro, Tim Salmon, Ted Kluszewski, a star with Cincinnati. We've got Darren Erstad there. Scott Stranton, Heine Peitz, Mark Bellinger, Omar Vizquel. So really, couple really good defensive shortstops are in the game. Charlie Morton. And look at this, folks. We have a 22-year-old Showtime Ohtani. Projected to go round 2. Oh, goodness. Do we go way off the board for Mr. Ohtani? My, oh my. We got Sloppy Thurston, Devin Mazzarasco. Let's not delay this any longer. Let's go into the draft. With the first overall pick, Philadelphia selects Ted Kluszewski. Number 2, the Reds take Gene Schott. Darren Fletcher, who would have been a nice Montreal pick, goes to Cincinnati. There's your top 3 lottery picks, Kluszewski, Schott, and Fletcher. In the mock draft, Fletcher moved up. So Salmon is still there. Vidro is still there. Pete Ward is still there. And so is Ohtani. See, here's the dilemma. We get the first pick in round 2. Ohtani is not projected to go till later in round 2. Do we gamble? I mean, look at that. He's a 3.5 overall, but a 4.5 potential. All right, here we are. I've created a few custom kind of filters here and set up my short list. So we're going to add some players to the short list, and hopefully that'll get us through a few rounds. So contact and then contact potential. I've got gap power potential. So current ratings as opposed to what their potential ratings are. And for some of these guys, they're old, so they're not going to change too much. But for some players that are younger, there might be a big swing. So let's sort by the batters and batting ratings by contact. And again, I do like contact and dead ball. I do like speed. I do like eye. So we're not going to go too far down. I don't want to go below yellow. And I don't really care about power. So that doesn't really make a huge difference for me. In fact, just to make things a little bit easier, I'm going to take off the power. Because it's not going to affect my decision a lot in dead ball. So let's take off those power ratings. There we go. Okay, so let's add some of these 45 and higher to the short list for our batters. and then we can compare them to the pitchers. Add that to shortlist 1906. How time flies. It's already 1906. Let's go to our pitchers and take a quick look at the batting ratings. See Ohtani, two-way player, Scott Stratton, sloppy. So definitely going to add those guys to the short list for their two-way ability, but also we want to take a look at the pitcher ratings. Oops, we don't want that one. We want the one I set up already. So stuff, potential, movement, potential, and control potential. So those are the ones I'm looking at, plus pitcher BABIP. This is one that if you play Perfect Team in OOTP, if you're aware, pitcher BABIP is huge for the Deadball Era. And this other one here, home run suppression, preventing home runs, not as big of an issue because there weren't a lot of home runs hit, but you do want pitchers with really good pitcher BABIP. So when I sort, I'm going to sort them by overall, but I'm going to shortlist the guys with a lot of pitcher BABIP. Just because I think they may perform better in this era of baseball. What else do I want? We're going to add Al Albuquerque. And who else? Joey Hamilton. And we'll probably add Burrell to the short list. And of course, Ohtani's already there. And I think that's good. Control-wise, guess we can add this guy. I like that blue. Don't like the red so much, although stuff isn't a key issue right now, so we're going to add that one pitcher there. I want to make sure I get it right this year. Some good players in this draft. All right, let's go up to the short list. Good thing we're not on the clock here. Go to 1906. So we've got 3, 6, 10 players for pitchers, and for batters, we've got about 15. So with the number 4 overall pick, we need a catcher. Probably some mid infielders might be okay. Here's our team, and we're good in the outfield. I don't want any outfielders. We got Paul Molitor coming up, and I think Paul Molitor is second base or shortstop. So we're probably going to use him at second base. So we don't need a second baseman. So shortstop, we got Joe Sewell. We're fine at short. Joe, don't worry. We're not going to replace you at short. So catcher, third base. Catcher or third base. If we're looking for a hitter, that's kind of the tools we're looking for. There is no DH, so we can't slide an extra person into the lineup. So catcher, third base, or a pitcher. Preferably maybe a two-way pitcher. That's why, Ohtani's kind of jumping out at me. So let's go back to the short list here. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I want to get this right, guys. I want to get this right. Okay, so we're not focused on a outfield. So Pete Ward, fully developed. We do need a stronger third baseman. Played for the Chicago White Sox in the 1960s, bookended by Baltimore and the Yankees. So if you're an old baseball fan in your 60s or 70s, you might remember Pete Ward. Potential. Darren Erstad. Plays first, center, left field. But I don't want to use my first pick on him. That's pretty much about it. So it's either going to be Pete Ward, or if we look at our pitchers, is he going to be their second round? Look at this profile. Scott Stanton. He looks really good. He is a starter, 17 years old, so we can stash him in the minors for a couple years. He's not going to start as a 17-year-old. All right, well, it's either Stratton or Pete Ward. I don't want to lose out on him. He's not going to last that long, is he, guys? Is he going to make it to the second round? 22-year-old with good hitting. This is the turning point of the franchise right here. Ward, Stratton, or Ohtani. Ward projected to go number 5, Stratton number 12, and Ohtani round 2. I think I have to go with Stratton and hope that Ohtani's there. If I can get Stratton and Ohtani, this is a win-win draft. All right, let's do it. Scott Stratton, welcome, I say that lightly, to the Montreal Expos. Let's go pick by pick. Next up is Tim Salmon. Vidro goes to the Phillies. Morton goes to St. Louis. Pete Ward, who we're eyeing up, goes to the Senators. Darren Erstad to the Senators. Joey Hamilton to Boston. And Terry Moore goes to Cleveland. Where are we now? Where are we? We're first up in the second round. There's still a few more picks. 11 picks in the book. Chicago, Detroit, New York, Pittsburgh, and the Cubs. I'm telling you, if the Cubs get Ohtani, that I may not put this episode up. All right. First Chicago team, they take Dick Groat. Detroit takes Paul Shaw. The New York Giants take Randy Wells. Pittsburgh and Chicago are left. Ohtani projected to go a little bit later. Come on, Pittsburgh. You don't want Ohtani. You want Omar Vizquel, a great defensive shortstop. Now the Cubs are up. World Series champs. Who do they take? Bellinger, Verdugo, Hamilton, Morton, Juan P. There's a lot of choices. Please leave me Ohtani. The Chicago Cubs, ending off round 1, will select We'll see you next episode.